everybody? It's your boy Pitts Sports Zone Bowie TV coming to you live. Listen, it's going down all things HBCUs. And who else better to start it off with them Bowie State Bulldogs? We coming to you, Bowie State Bulldogs, total access. We got the Morgan State Bears. Listen, all HBCUs information, all HBCU news, sporting events, updates. You get it live here with Pitt Sports Zone, Bowie TV, Comcast Channel 77. Verizon Channel 11 is going down. Don't you miss a beat.
Listen, it's only the beginning because it's early still.
And it's
we're gonna be here all day.
All day.
What's going on, everybody, man? Y'all know what it is. It's your boy Pitt Sports Zone, Bowie TV, coming to you live yet again. It is a MEAC week. As y'all know, it's going down tomorrow with my Morgan State Bears taking on the Howard University Bisons. But listen, today I got it first. I'm excited to have him, Coach Apollo Wright, Morgan State University Offensive Coordinator. How you doing today, Coach?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm blessed, man. I appreciate you for taking time to join me.
No problem. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Always, man. Coach Wright was hired in March 2024 and has a solid coaching background from New Mexico and Florida International University. Among others, he's known for his detailed approach and his passion for football. Head coach Damon Wilson has praised his commitment to both on the field and off the field development, in addition to praise from Robert Morris University's head coach Bernard Clark Jr. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Good people there. Good people.
Yes, sir. Coach, let's start you off with a couple icebreakers. Okay. This is your first time on the show, to give the viewers and listeners a little bit about yourself. One, what is your favorite food?
What's my favorite food? Oh, all right. Probably. Well, I'm from Philly, so you know what? I'm gonna say like a good hoagie. You know what I mean? I'm gonna say cheesesteak, a hoagie, or something of that nature. Even though I don't really eat them that much anymore, but I would say that's probably my favorite food when I do get a chance to go ahead and get back to Philly and get a hoagie.
So just for all of y'all out there who was trying to figure out what a hoagie is, that's what we up north call ourselves. I remember when I first moved here, and I would call soda pop, and I would call subs hoagies, and they're like, "What?"
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Let me get a hoagie. They're like, "What's a hoagie?" I'm like, "Oh my god!" Well, let me get a pop. What? What's a pop? Okay, Coach, give me a dream. Give me a favorite travel destination or a dream destination place to visit.
Ooh, I'm not much of a traveler like that. You know, I want to go to Rome. Enjoy, the arena. I enjoy those type of movies like Spartacus, the Gladiator, all of those type of things. So I kind of want to go see the just that type of environment. Big fan of those. So between that. I'm a big Godfather fan. Learned a lot of lessons from the Godfather.
Yes,
so just Italy, and love that food as well. I love Italian food. So those are probably the places that that's a place I guess I want to go ahead and visit.
Absolutely. And lastly, with you being from Philly, I guess I'm safe to assume that you are an Eagles fan.
Go Birds, baby. All the way through and through.
Well, I just want to let everybody know that, Pitts does not support that message. And that is not his views. The views of my guest is not the views and thoughts of mine. I'm from that Western PA, so
I understand completely.
So then my last icebreaker, because you're from Philly, is there an offensive coordinator like that you look at, or that when you were growing up and when you were getting into coaching that you looked up to and really kind of idolize or molded your game or your thoughts or your plays strategy around them, or how they operated within gameplay?
Villanova University. You hear me?
I can't hear you now. Yes, coach.
Okay. Yeah, I'm very fortunate because I was, I started off at coaching at LaSalle University, but then I eventually got to Villanova University with Sam Venuto was there. He was the offensive coordinator, so I took a little bit from Sam.
Okay.
Then I went down to FIU, had two great coordinators there. Tim Cramsey is actually the coordinator. He was there. My last year's. He's the offensive coordinator at Memphis right now.
Okay.
But you see what they're doing in college football. So I took a little bit from him. Scott Satterfield was our offensive coordinator at FIU as well. Scott Satterfield is the head coach at Cincinnati.
Okay.
Believe it or not, yeah, Cincinnati was at Louisville and then went to Cincinnati. So I've been around some great coaches. And then when I went to University of New Mexico, Bob DeBeth was a coordinator there and learned a lot about the triple option. We were the number one rushing collegiate team in 2016. I'm talking about the Alabamas. I'm talking about everybody, with the triple option. So we were very, I've gained a lot of ground and kind of put my own little spin onto it, but combining a lot of those offense to make what we are doing today.
Absolutely. And, let's talk about your passion for coaching. What do you love most about coaching and what keeps you motivated from day to day?
What I love most is when I see, when I see the players get it. And it might now, and it might not just be a play. It might just be the change of their life. Just that kind of, they start off and you're shaping and molding them, and then all of a sudden, I'm talking about with just time management, grades, just becoming a man, maturing. And then you see them, and you kind of see them when they hit the switch, and it's kind of like, that's what I've been talking about, right there. Like now you can start seeing those things, and you start seeing them taking those steps and progressing, becoming that all-around person, all-around student athlete, all-around better man. So you say, oh, that's the best part about coaching is that you can actually see a switch change in certain young men. Now some of them already come with they're already planted and based and with good foundations, which is great. And now you can take them to another level, but then you come see what the one that had the hard upbringing and have to go really work on themselves. And then those are the guys, when you see those guys switch that corner, you say, okay, that's what coaching is about.
Absolutely. And, I'm definitely want to make sure when my son get out of school, I'm going to show him that aspect of, when you bring up flip the switch, because that's one of the things that, I emphasized to him this year in his first year of football. Him being 13 was that, when it comes to football, especially for him in his first year, I'll know when that flip is switched. I can see that he's still in his learning phase, and but once he, and I try to explain to him that, you're looking to do, you want to do too much, but don't know the understandings of the game just yet. Once you get that foundation under your feet, then that flip will switch, and you'll realize that now you're more instinctively reacting. Mentally is less physical, is more mental about understanding the aspects of the game that you don't know at this juncture. So I think that's a lesson for all student athletes. When it comes to, because you named a group of different things, especially student athletes in college. Maintaining their grades, maintaining a schedule, being able to get that understanding of balance that's needed, and once you're able to level off here, then you can start to, put that attention to other places such as on the field, and everything then becomes synchronized and it becomes more fluid.
Yeah, definitely. We practice in the morning, so I know that's a huge thing for people just to get up and get going. But I think it's the best thing that we do, because once you are up and you're getting going, we have 6:30 meetings, then we have 6:45 meetings, and all the way to the end of practice. You have that time management, and now it's not like, hey, I'm gonna go back to my dorm and go sleep for the rest of the day. Right. Your day becomes busier. Yeah. So you have to go ahead and learn to do those type of things. And I think that's what helped me when I flip my switch is, hey, there are things that need to be done, and I'm going to keep that knowledge of keep going on and every single day of trying to learn something. And that, like I said, when that flipped my switch of the fact that now I don't have a problem with coming in the office at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning to go ahead and get all my work done and then go throughout my rest of my day, so that now I have all my ducks in order.
Absolutely. Coach, let's talk challenges and rewards. What are some of the biggest challenges you faced in your coaching career, and what rewards do you find most fulfilling?
Well, I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, okay, incorporated, and one of the biggest things that I had to learn there was, to be humble, right? So that's one of the things that I've learned. I think in the coaching career, that kind of has helped me. You're like, hey, I'm putting in all this work, but I'm still not getting what I'm supposed to be getting out of it. You say, hey, you work hard, you're going to get this. You work even harder, you'll get this. And if you work even harder, you'll go and get this. Well, then you work hard and you're like, hold on now. I didn't get that. Right. And I didn't, and then you're like, okay, well, I might be the next man up. Right. Yeah. And then next thing you know, they like, whoop, whoop, right there. You're like, oh, what about me? So that would probably be one of the biggest things to me that I was like, I had to get used to it. Yeah. And so I had to lean, and I mentioned my fraternity because I had to lean back and say, okay, well, yeah, there are things that you're going to try to do and they might not be right, but you got to still go ahead and push on. Right. Yeah. You still got to you got to still have to achieve. You still can't let that, I talk up to the players. We take some tough losses out there, of course, right? Some really close losses out there. You go back to the Georgetown game. We lost the play on the last play of the game, right? So, but you cannot let that game beat you versus going into MEAC conference play, right? So you have to learn from it, but you got to get over it and then come back and continue to play and keep playing. Well, it's the same exact thing. In life, you think you might be the next guy to be the next boss or be the next vice president or whatever you might want to be, right? But sometimes things go over your head and you don't know why. But you have to go ahead and pushing. So that's probably the biggest thing that I've learned in the coaching profession is things not going to always go the way you think they're going to go. Best believe that.
And definitely a testament to something you said. For me specifically, with everything that I've been doing, when you say you work hard, and it's like, I used to look at the tangibles of things, and be like, well, dang, like I'm grinding, and this ain't, this isn't even my daytime job. And a lot of people didn't even know that. They thought everything that I do within the sports realm was my daytime job. But it's the passion, right? But then even with the passion, there's definitely still an expectation that at some point, along the way, the hard work that you put in would be recognized for whatever it is. It doesn't always have to be monetary, right? But you hope and wish that acknowledgement would come at some point. And there have been moments where I used to be like, man, I'm about to just fade back, like I put, it's a lot of investment that, I'm not feeling the appreciation of. And, it was my aunt who actually lived in New York who basically told me that the work that you put in, you may not see the residual, the effects that you like, but rest assured, down the line, everything falls in place,
Mm-hmm.
So consistency, and commitment are huge when it comes to everything. And then more importantly, just HBCU athletics is important to me because I understand that the media exposure of it for us lacks tremendously. And I know I'm not, a big media broadcasting company, but I've always believed that, one voice can be just as loud as 100, depending on the message and how you yell it.
Exactly.
So when you talk about that, and then you talk about some of the challenges, and I'll just go ahead and jump into that now, and I'll come back to the next question. When you talk about the Georgetown game and, the mental letdown that was, because that was more mental. Nothing about that was physical. That was a mental loss, right? But then the benefit of that was coming back for homecoming, and, and playing a team like Virginia University of Lynchburg, right? And because regardless of the school, everybody's out there is on the same playing field. Mm-hmm. Every dog has their day. But the way that the offense was able to really put the mental block behind them, not less more the opponent, but the execution that they were able to do in the homecoming game, going into the bye week, then for me, I play has to be, definitely a good feeling, going into the bye week for you as the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, it is. It is. The way they bounce back and execute it, and then of course we're always still a work in progress. So there's a lot of things that we still need to see, but we wanted to make sure going into the MEAC that we, are trying to go ahead and establish our goals, right? So it was very, very good for us to see that we didn't come back and still make some of the same mistakes that we just, self-inflicting mistakes is what I call them, that we've made before. So hopefully, we're still pushing in the right direction.
Absolutely. Early on, right, last year you had the offensive rookie for the MEAC and, Jason Collins, right? And then he's also our preseason, MEAC Player of the Year. Can you share a little bit just about Jason that others don't get to see, the grind, the work ethic, the way he goes at it, not just his preparation on the field, but his preparation off the field as well?
Well, Jason, when I first got here, Jason was a receiver. And we wound up putting him in the backfield, and he just kind of took to it. And then I know that there's a history of in high school with him doing some things in the backfield as well. So you could just see from day one that he was a little bit different in the backfield than what he was at receiver, which is great because those are the kind of running backs that I love, the ones that you can put in the backfield and then split out and do different things with. So that's probably my number one. I used to coach Brian Westbrook, and that he was that kind of guy.
Yeah.
So those are I'm constantly looking for that type of production. And then Jason is also a very smart football player. So he doesn't you could tell him things one time or he might have to do it 1.5. But he pretty much understands what you're trying to get and what the concept you're trying to get, and he's going to work on it. And he asks questions, right? So he is one that can help hold a heavy plate on him and do different things because it just naturally kind of comes to him. He has the athletic ability, and then the mental side of it, you don't have to do a lot for him to understand what you're trying to get out of the concept. And if he has a question, he's going to ask. So that's the biggest thing to me. They say a closed mouth doesn't get fed, right? But we're going to try to feed Jason. So I was like, hey, you good? He said, Coach, I got it. Boom. Then it's done. So, and then he'll bring his athletic ability and God-given talent once he gets on that field. So he's got to point him in the right direction.
Coming off a bye week, what adjustments or improvements did you focus on during this time, and how do you think they'll benefit the team moving forward?
We had to get back to basics. We had to get back to get back to playing football. We turned our record doesn't show, but as far as we turned the ball over a lot as an offense in the beginning, right? And then 2 losses there. The Towson game, we turned the ball over. We're driving and we turned the ball over. And then the USA game, South Alabama game, we driving the ball downfield and we turn it over. Driving the ball downfield, we turn it over. So we have to get back to playing football. The self-inflicted mistakes, the penalties, those type of things. Really, really focused on that and how can we manage those things that, as we well know, things will happen. But how can we manage those? How can we put ourselves in the right situation? And then also, as far as who we're getting the ball to, how we're getting them the ball. We know who our playmakers now. Nobody's a freshman anymore, right? So we know Randall, number 20, has running back has come along. So where's his fold into the mix with Jason and KJ, and Dorian? So putting those pieces together at the bye week, and then getting everybody back healthy, trying to get people back healthy, so that when we go in there, we're firing on all cylinders, right? You want to go into conference play as healthy as possible, getting your guys back up front, getting guys back. So, that's kind of what we focused on offensively during this week, tightening up the screws on certain things, that self-inflicted mistakes, that if we don't have those self-inflicted mistakes, our record will look different, but also learning from those mistakes as well, right? So, don't ignore them. They happen for a reason, right? So it's kind of like, if we were in the NFL, it's kind of like all of those games were preseason games until you get into the conference, right? So now you go back and you look at those games and say, hey, what did we do to lose this game?
Yeah.
And how can we go ahead and benefit from it?
And I'm glad you brought up the other backs, because I was going to ask you, like, you have a slew of them who I like Jason, that, really, whether, you want to throw 2-6 in there, whether you want to throw 20, whether you want to throw Duda at 1 or Dorn, like, you have a mixture of power, speed, and balance. How hard is it to really, be able to game plan knowing that you have that many tools available at your disposal, and knowing that every playmaker want the ball in their hands?
It's not really hard. It's actually a good problem to have. You just have to do different things with who's in there. It was just crazy because they're all different. They all have their own different little niche to everything. So when you're drawing up a play or you're doing something in that nature, you're kind of having a vision. Okay, well, we can do this with this person, or we can do that with this person, and this is how we can get him in touches. And then of course, you have our receivers on the outside, which we do a lot with as well. So it's a good problem to have, because they are all productive and can be productive.
Yeah.
And you have your core plays of they all run the same thing, but then you have your kind of your outliers of hey, we're going to do this with this person and do that with that person. So it's a good problem to have.
Game prep, Howard this week, opening up MEAC play. It's Howard's homecoming. How do you balance, the environment versus distractions?
We have to take care of business, right? At the end of the day, we as coaches, we point you in the right direction. We point you in the right direction, but it's about the guys that are on the field. So what I just said to them, I said to them this week was, hey, I can call whatever we call, but it's going to be up to you to execute it.
Yeah.
If you don't execute it, we're not going to have the result that we want to have. And then everybody knows in the MEAC, you drop 1, you drop 2, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's it, right? Because you don't have that many teams in there that you're going to have to be playing. So, so where do we want to be? Where do we want to be at the end of the game? I'm not saying I know what our long-term vision is, but you got to take care of that first step, right? I'm not trying to step up 3 steps and I'm because you're gonna wind up falling, right? So you take 1 step at a time. And where do we want to be at the end of this game? We're putting ourselves in a situation to go to South Carolina State next week and play the team that beat us up pretty bad last year, right? So how we're going to maneuver, how can we get this job done? And it's not going to, I'm going to call the plays, our coaches are going to coach, but it's about the execution on the field. So if you go back to doing that same mistake that you did at Towson, that's not going to be, that means you're not growing, and we're not growing as an offense. But if you come back and you say, you know what, I remember that Towson game. I remember when I made that mistake in that Towson game. Let me not do that mistake here and be a little bit more physical while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
We should be all right.
Absolutely. And definitely, the Towson game, one thing from my viewpoint was, defense, the special teams get a turnover, we get the ball offensively, then we turn the ball right back over in their territory. But the response, the one thing that didn't change was the aggressiveness, right? The team still battled. They still came out in full force mode, didn't allow those mistakes to be mental blocks. They were able to put the next play, next forward, we move forward, next play up, that focus. And so I look forward to, this is going to be an exciting week to kick off the MEAC. And I look forward, and I can't wait to see you guys out there tomorrow, man. Good luck tomorrow, Coach. And, appreciate you for taking this time once again, to join me on here.
Anytime. No, I appreciate you having me on. And anytime we wanted to discuss it. I know you're from the other side of Pennsylvania, but that's fine. That's okay.
Now, hold up. That's my line. I don't hold that against you. Wait, we on role reversal. I don't hold it against you because you're from Philly. I got love for Philly. You know, they like, Coach, do you have any siblings?
I have 2 older sisters, yes.
So then your older sisters know what I'm about to say. Philly to me, because I have younger siblings, Philly to me is like whenever I wanted to go outside and I couldn't go outside unless I took my younger siblings with me. That's what I feel like when I talk Philly and Pittsburgh. But it's love all the way around. We PA.
Yep. We are PA. Unfortunately that there was only one Super Bowl winner last year, and I'm out of PA. So
there we go. We showed y'all the ropes long enough. It was about time that y'all figured out how to join us, guys. I mean, we done already showed y'all 6 times before y'all caught on to the first one. So it's okay. Like you said, in everything, there's a lesson in everything. There's always a silver lining. Our silver lining was, listen, we don't want to dominate the NFL all the time. We're waiting for our little brothers to come stop sliding up grease poles and join us in the Super Bowl call.
I got you. I understand.
But that's love. But I already know I'm going to catch some flack from Ms. Wilson as well and all my other Philly folks. So I'm going to leave it at that. Coach, I appreciate you, man. Enjoy the rest of the day. Good luck tomorrow. Let's go 1-0.
Appreciate it. That's the plan.
Yes, sir. Y'all know what it is, man. I'm your boy Pitts, Pitt Sports Zone, Bowie TV, coming to you live. Shout out to my sponsors, Staples and Smart Water. Listen, man, MEAC starts tomorrow. Howard, Morgan is going down. Howard homecoming. You ain't there. I don't know what's up with you. Enjoy the rest of your Friday.
Same here. All right.